Obie Trice.
Real name, no gimmicks. Let's talk about it. Oh man, love this beat. Okay, Gimmicks, Optics. Optics really ruined rap, man, big time. I was having a conversation about this with my man, right, yesterday. And we were talking about how, like, everything now, especially about sales, right? Because that's probably the biggest of the optics. Sales, aka how much money a rapper is making. And then after that, it's probably who's, you know, who they fucking, right? These two things really ruined this rap shit. The pocket watching and the dick watching. Crazy how garbage that is to me. Now, some of y'all are gonna say, well, there's always been optics, gimmicks in rap. I agree and I disagree, okay? So yes, every artist had a certain thing about them, right? That they marketed. That's fine. That maybe wasn't necessarily like 100% music, but was something about their essence, okay? Run DMC with, you know, with the clothes, right? They look like sort of, you know, street dudes, right? And they were kind of the first, one of the first to really do it on that scale, right? You know, even for example, like Nas looking like he's straight out the projects to a certain degree, you know, Army Jacket lining, right? Like, you know, even the littlest of things you might not consider to necessarily be a gimmick or something that makes that, you know, artist stand out visually. Every rapper has them. We're not talking about that, really. I'm talking more about like the narrative of that rapper and how that narrative overwhelms everything about that rapper. And the music is like not even secondary, it's like tertiary or like fourth, right? That's a problem. And that's something that really only started to come, in my honest opinion, in the 2000s. Obviously, as rap became bigger, the optics of things become bigger. I mean, that's just what it is. But I don't remember, as myself growing up, even as a teen, when I was nowhere near as big a hip-hop fan as I am now, we were not talking about, yo, so-and-so sold this, so therefore they're the better rapper. It just wasn't in the conversation. Like, the conversation was, yo, this track is doper than this track, and we would argue about it. Now, I'm not expecting the average person to be like music nerds necessarily, in the sense that they're looking to be like, what snare did this person use? Like, that snare is better than this snare. I'm not talking about that, okay? That's like some real head shit. That's some real, like, super technical producer shit. That's not what I'm expecting. What I am expecting is that you at least like the music for what it is. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, first and foremost, I would say, or honestly, like, does the music really, like, is it good? Do you like the music? You know what I'm saying? Do you even listen to the music? You know what I mean? Or is it just like, I follow whatever's popular? And of course, there's always going to be people that do that. It is what it is. But the fact that somehow this narrative in optics has consumed everything in rap, everything, I would honestly argue, has really shown how far hip-hop has fallen off. Because I see it everywhere. We know the optics of the, you know, the young dude coming out the street with the money phone and, oh, they doing well because they got this amount of streams. Optics bullshit, right? The music could be straight garbage, right? That's a certain type of optic. I've made the video about this, talking about what type of cornball are you? And this is what I was getting at, is that there are optics for different types of people. Different types of people buy into different kind of optics, but it's all optics. It's all optics at the expense of the actual music. This morning, I was trying to listen to some Rapsody, right? For whatever reason, you know what I mean? I saw her name somewhere and I was like, you know what? Let me just, I never really was a fan, but let me just check out a track. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to listen to the song Nina, and in it she says something like sparrow or some shit like that. I think she mispronounces the word sparrow, and she says sparrow, and I was just like, you know, pause. Like, this is garbage. I'm sorry, but this is one of the things about Rapsody that always bugged me. Rapsody has this thing where she's trying to do the Hove thing, because for me, I feel like it's a Hove-ish inflection, but she's trying to mispronounce a word, and by calling attention to it, it's like, oh, that's cool. But again, that's corny. It doesn't even sound good. It doesn't make sense why you're mispronouncing the word. Hip-hop has always mispronounced words. Rappers do this all the time. but they do it when and make it cool, right? And then to make sense. It sounds with what they're going with. Usually there's a certain wit or something. It's a joke. It's not like you're spinning some, you know, some basic shit or some, you know, you're telling me something and then you mispronounce a word. Why? Again, it's the why. It's the, does this even sound good? The why. But now, if I criticize Rapsody, it's like, oh, you don't want to see, you know, female rappers, right? Oh, Rhapsody's great because she's not shaking her ass. Well, fine, but that's not what makes Rapsody listenable. You know what I'm saying? That's her gimmick. That's her gimmick, her optic. Her optic is, I'm a real girl who doesn't have to shake ass, and I'm a spitter, right? That's optics. But in real life, honestly, her music to me is bugs. I don't know a single song on Rapsody I'll ever play. Like, on my own, be like, yo, this is dope. It's all whack to me, personally. And again, if I look at Rapsody just musically, to me, the music doesn't cut it. But the optics cuts it, right? And optics is probably going to work for her for who knows how long. And then, you know, that's it. She's out the game, right? And again, I'm not saying this to be disrespectful to Rapsody or anyone or Ninth Wonder or anybody who's involved with her. I'm talking as a passionate hip-hop fan. The optics to me have gotten way too much. You know what I'm saying? Again, all of them use optics. The Backpackers, the Griseldas, you know the Griselda, you know, optic. Oh, they're bringing real rap back. They came out of Buffalo. Nobody was really checking for Buffalo. They brought Boom Bap back. That's an optic. That's a gimmick, okay? The music itself is trash. As you know, anyone who's followed my channel knows that I don't really fuck with their music. And I've given my reasons, and they're very clear as to why I don't fuck with their music and why I think their music is sleepy and boring and lame. For somebody who grew up in that era of the real boom bap and all that stuff, and I listened to that shit, like this beat playing in the background. This beautiful ass beat, by the way. Something I should just mention really briefly on the side note. This really is one of the greatest rap beats ever. I know it's cliche to say this, but again, Illmatic is a masterpiece because the production is a masterpiece also, right? In fact, I would argue first and foremost, the production on Illmatic is what makes it a masterpiece. Even before Nas stepped into that shit. Do you know what I'm saying? A beat like this is classy as fuck, but it's raw as hell. And it's really hard to mix those two things, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, a beat that I can hear in the projects, and also, like, I can be in the Lincoln Center, or I can be in a museum in, like, with my champagne and listen to this shit. That's crazy. It's the way that Pete flipped it, like, you know what I'm saying? Because it has this raw elegance to it. And that's, again, why we love Nas so much. Because Nas is, in my opinion, the epitome of that raw elegance, right? That fly shit, but it's like, it's almost like, it's got the heart of gutter, but it's, you know, polished so well where it's like smooth and it's intelligent and beautiful. This is why we like Nas. And again, production. I can't stress that enough. But back to what I was talking about, right? With optics. In Backpackers have certain optics that they go by all the time, right? If a rapper flows a certain way or looks a certain way, has a certain cosign, they go, oh, like, this person's incredible. Oh, you know, I like this rapper because so-and-so rapper's not mainstream. Well, that's corny because, again, like, when I was listening to rap, that's not why I listen to rap at all. Do you know what I'm saying? I listen to both underground cats and mainstream cats. In fact, to me, at the time, there was no difference. And what I mean by that is, I guess because of the fact that the culture has really expanded and more people listen to it now, yes, there is a big difference. But back then, you were just dope. And, like, you could be the next... Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't, for example, you know, Nas, as a rapper, was still competing with someone like a Royce da 5'9". Like, now they're not competing in the same bracket, if that makes sense. But back then, Royce da 5'9" came out with Boom, and everyone went, holy shit, this is really dope. He could have been the next guy. He could have been, for all I know, he could have been Nas. If, you know, he had the right production, the right rhymes, all that shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, back then, there wasn't a separation between whether you were underground or you were mainstream. It was just like, are you dope? Right? I mean, at least for people that I know and when I was listening to rap. And I think, again, the music, it has to really just, it has to do something for you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm tired of hearing, like, record sales and, you know, who's sleeping with who and who co-signed who. All that is optics. It's boring, okay? Right? Like, it impresses, like, with all due respect, like, the sort of casuals. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about that stuff. I never did. And I never will, to be honest with you. That's why my opinions shock people, really. But the more they get to know me, they know, oh yeah, like, Tochi, he really knows his rap shit. Like, he's not really, like, he really looks at this from, like, real, like, at the core of what it is, like, as opposed to, like, the peripheries of it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna end on that note. Lastly, I would say check out that Bloodworld, man. The campaign is still running. Definitely need them pledges to come up, man. So, you know, support the real, man. I'm telling you, it's the real. It's the real. All right? Love y'all. Peace.